What's going on, y'all? It's Nuns again, NXNES, and I am here with part 2 of the basics I wanted to show you in this auto filter tutorial series. Now, I started with the auto filter simply because it's a vital tool in sound design, I believe. It is a way to start the cutting of frequencies that you do not want to make a sound fit within a mix. And I mean, also, I feel that it's a way to sort of discover things within a sound, you know. That's the magic of EQing, you know. You can get it to sort of an industry standard, or you can get it to your own personal standard and make that an industry standard, sort of. If you start producing and engineering for yourself, there's really no one to tell you how things are supposed to happen, but there's no gatekeeping as well. So your ideas are free to flow. For me, with Ableton, I'm able to not just record and mix things, but I'm able to play the recordings. It's a weird way to put it, I know, but I'm able to play the productions and manipulate the productions so that they can be played. And that's just not anything I really find so at the forefront of many other DAWs. But here we are with the auto filter, again, a very vital piece to mixing, I believe. And again, you know, we're using these things, but I'm not going to give you the top down to what the auto filter does. I'm going to show you things that it does, but the hope is that you internalize the concepts, recognize what's going on, and are able to fit it to your production however you make music in whatever genres you make music. First off, we have this. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we have this this piece of music here. Most of the highs and lows here are pretty tame. Nothing too extreme, though that low end is cutting through. What I'd like to do is a quick little recap, right? So we'll take this thing I'm calling drum top right now. And we're gonna solo it. There we go. So we've got it soloed, and we've got, as you can hear, the high end. I actually like where the high end is, actually. For the sake of this tutorial, we'll do a few things though. So for instance, we can take this down and sit it there. Let's just see where it sits in the mix there. It's pretty low. We can hear that high end was a lot of its body. But with a little volume, as you can hear me raising the volume on it, you can hear that it can also fit in different spots now. It doesn't have to sit in that, you know, let's tuck it down and create sort of a texture. You can create textures with this style as well. So I wanted to show you that just as proof of concept. We did cover some ground in the first part, but this second part is to sort of remind, refresh, but then also introduce the envelope and just sort of explore a little more different filters, different types of filters. And then this tab here, again, I want to make this video series ubiquitous for all DAWs because I'm using concepts here. But this tab here sort of gets you into, on Ableton, will get you into the world of modular synthesis, right? Like these are copies, mimics of famous modular synthesizers. So you can start working within that world. And once you bring them up, they basically add this drive knob that'll add different character to each of the circuit types found here. So we're gonna go with the MS2, and you'll hear as this is going. I'll switch to this one because this is an auto filter I have on the master track. Here it's crunchy. It's basically just thickening up what's happening here. It's thickening up and fattening up what is happening in this area. So for that, we can come to utility and just grab it and put it at the end of the auto filter chain and drop the gain. So now you're in between working with the gain and working with the drive. Over here, you obviously have your levels, so you can see if you're screaming out of which device, right? So here we can see that we are, out of the auto filter, we are screaming, but through the utility plugin, we are able to tame it, bring it down via the gain. But you also just don't want that stress. So you might do something like that. So we still have the kick punching through. Sounds crunchy, but the gain's not really affecting the crunch at all because it's all happening from the auto filter. That's an important piece to think about too. Maybe you want this to have that lo-fi crunch. Maybe you want this to have some sort of edge to it. So this envelope on the left side of the auto filter is a volume envelope. And the attack and the release, we can get into that conceptually at some point, and we will. But for this tutorial's purposes, I will explain the attack as how long it takes in milliseconds for this effect to work. And the release is how long it takes in milliseconds for the effect to be done with its processing. Now the envelope starts at 0, which is just to let the natural volume of the entire track just pass through the filter without being affected volume-wise. When you move it back or forward, it's sort of working through the frequency range that you've created here. And you'll hear it here. This is coming from here down over and over again, right? That's what you're hearing. Now we're getting more of the spectrum. We're getting like further back. So whereas something like this is working with this, it's a strange, it may seem like a strange way to explain it, but again, this is not a technical channel. This is about giving you concepts that you can carry along throughout your journey making sounds and mixing music. So what I want to show you is from here to probably around here, that's what we're getting as an effect. You can work your way back. This is the whole thing, the whole range. And now going backwards, we'll go from low to high. We will get to what's known as ADSR, which is attack, decay, sustain, and release. We will get to that in another video. It's important to understand where to use the auto filter as well. So here we are with an auto filter set on this particular sound. And again, however you want that sound to sound, right? But also, it's important to note that you can put the auto filter anywhere you want it. When you put the auto filter on the master track, you're affecting the entire mix that you've just made. And I'm showing you this as another concept builder, right? It does the auto filter itself doesn't have to be on just individual tracks, filtering out frequencies that you don't want, but you can also use it in your final part of the mix, which is on the master track. So here is the song, and we have the auto filter set up here, favoring a little bit of the low end, but through the resonance and the frequency knobs there on the right hand side, you see up and down affects the resonance, side to side affects the frequency. You can do those frequency sweeps, you know? So like for instance, you'll hear songs sort of sound like they're in the basement, or you're outside and they're inside, but this is just it's just a filtering of frequencies. this concludes the basic part of the auto filter stuff. Next time I'll be showing you this LFO situation, this low frequency oscillator situation, which really lets you hone the auto filter in as an instrument. And then we'll do some side chaining to really show you some interesting ways to utilize the auto filter. So again, in this tutorial series, we will be addressing plugins that are ubiquitous across every DAW in a theoretical way. We're working with concepts more than we're working with the technicality, so that you can have the tools to access your imagination and put them into practice. This is Nuns, NXNES. I appreciate y'all coming through. There's plenty more tutorials to come, so stick around.